Hey guys, welcome to this wonderful cold Tuesday. It's very oddly cold out there. It's not that cold really, like for me necessarily. Because it's always off center. It's like it moves. But it is, cold. So it actually snowed up in the high country, which I thought was fascinating. So, okay. So yesterday I'd said that I was going to work on Bellatrix Rising, and today I've got good old Mayrell up here. This is going to be what I call my prototype drawing concept board thingy. I don't even know. They're model sheets. Trying to figure out how to do my model sheets is always kind of a complicated process. So we're going to go ahead and work on model sheets today. So that's what we're going to do. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Start working on model sheets. All right. So when we work on the model sheets, I went on ahead and did the easy thing and set up some DAZ models. My DAZ model for Mayrell has the dots already on them so that I know where they're positioned, so that I don't have to worry when the model is turned around. So I went on ahead and was kind to all of you people and whited out all of the naughty parts on the model, because I know that that's probably in violation of some rule somewhere with the with Facebook and with wherever. So why don't I head and there's no naughty parts left. So you're welcome, all of those folks who are really having a problem with that. Okay. So we're just going to go in here, and this is quite simple. We're going to look at what her character looks like in all of these different forms, so that I can kind of get an idea of what she looks like. Okay, moving right in here. Now, I already set up this model, and I spent quite a lot of time drawing setting up this model in 3D, which took a lot of time and effort. So we just didn't do that on screen. But I've actually already rigged this model. If I ever get into a situation where I'm unsure what... Oh, thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. So if this model that I've got here, this 3D model that I've set up, the entire point of this model is in case I really get into trouble with drawing this character, I can't figure out how to get this shot to work right, etc., etc., etc. I can just bring this model out. So I've made her look as accurate to what I want Mariel to look like as possible. So part of the job of this is to do the designs, the character designs for these characters, certainly. But part of this is to field test this model to make sure that it can do its job in case of an emergency, right? So, the spacesuit uniforms that these characters can wear have these connectors on their collars. And those connectors are, they can tighten these two together by pinching them together. And when they do, it forms a seal here and then forms a powered helmet around them, so that they can breathe emergency oxygen, which probably is more along the lines of, I think you probably have something bizarre like their underwear is designed to recycle air or something to that effect, would be my guess. It's funny, the guides here are talking about, going over her collar. It's not going to work. This is a very straight-laced uniform. In time, these characters can be rescued or something like that, and these uniforms are designed to mimic that. Give her one rank bar, right? That's what she's got to read. One rank bar, yep, the bottom rank bar. So the model sheets tell us a lot about what's going on with the character. Again, I have blocked out all the naughty parts for all you people. Are you proud of me? There we go. These models... Good morning, Michael. I haven't seen you in a long time. These models are not perfect. So I have to make some corrections over them. Just to be... Okay, not that big. Good heavens. Good morning, Brent. Good to see you, my friend. Good to have all three of you on here. So we're doing character model sheets is what these are. These are the initial designs of the character and give me some idea of what she's supposed to look like, right? So I'm given a couple of poses that we're going to work on. Good morning, Fred. Fred, I should be working on your piece later. Here's what we've got on 292. I already did this picture. I'm going to probably work on these guys a little later on. I just wanted you to know that's what's going on today, so that you can give me input as you want, or as you are well to do, or you're well to do. You just didn't know it. So, okay. Interestingly, this particular picture actually looks like somebody I grew up with. It's like very strangely familiar face. It's kind of cool. So we're doing here is defining the face. I feel kind of uncomfortable whenever I do the underlying picture like this. It's interesting too because to me, I was raised as an artist that tracing is bad. Tracing is very, very bad. Don't trace. Oh, that's a horrible thing, right? And so I make sure that I try not to trace as often as I possibly can. But in production, I don't have time. I don't have time to go through. You can see how fast this is going. It's going really, really, really fast. And I did all of these models, the model setup, just before the show. So all the model setup's about an hour old, right? So I'm only about a half an hour to an hour into this drawing, and we're going to be quite a ways into it. When you have, 60 or 70 pages to do in a comic, I feel like I'm a little bit okay because I hand draw these maps. They're my maps. I drew them myself. So I don't feel like it's that bad, but boy, every instinct in me gets really upset about this particular aspect of my my drawing career, if you will, because this is, to me, feels kind of like tracing, right? And it makes it, but it does make this so much easier. And it's just so simple to get this done. And it's just, there we go. And it's a weird thing, because I feel like I'm not actually drawing this. But, I mean, you were here over the early part of this week when we were doing runs drawings, the ones for the Silver Pentacle, and we're doing those by hand. And I have done 3 pictures in 14 minutes. 2 pictures, I guess, where the Silver Pentacle, we spent 2 hours on 1 picture. It's a matter of production. And it's a matter of expediency. Let's go a little further on your side. And it's frustrating. Because this is not... Everybody I've talked to has always been sort of the same way about it, which is, there's nothing wrong with it. It's totally fine. But I still feel really bad. It's so aggravating. I even now have recently seen maquettes and mannequins that are available, and that's exactly what they want you to do. Take their maquettes, take a picture of it with your phone, and then draw over the maquette. And it's so weird because I am so instilled with that's tracing. You're not actually doing any art. And I think the way I have actually made myself feel better about this is every so often I make sure I don't use a maquette and I don't use anything like that, and I draw some picture that is absolutely straight up. It does make me feel guilty and goofy. It takes so much of the time away, though. She is just a lieutenant, so she only gets one bar. There we go. Just a little bit of her service patches here. Other service patches not showing. Okay, think about that. I find it funny that I had to blur out all of her naughty parts. That just makes me laugh. Doesn't make me laugh. I think it somewhat annoys me. The other reason that maquettes are good is fine details. She has a stronger chin than, say, she has a stronger chin than woohoo, naughty parts. Well, the good news is she's in clothes for all of these things. I don't usually have call to not put them in clothes. Although I'm not afraid of doing that in the story if I need to. I find the nudity thing to be weird. That's another one of those weird things in our society that I just don't get quite. I could understand. Yeah, full penetration sex is probably a bad thing to put in your comic. I get that. That's okay. But I don't understand why, a shower scene suddenly changes the rating from your comic. It's kind of weird. We all have to take showers, And so it's a very cold day out there today, especially for June. Anybody who's joining me not in Colorado, it actually snowed in the high country last night, which is kind of strange. Although not unheard of. I remember Stormy Rotman, who used to be Channel 9's meteorologist back in the 80s. I remember he used to do a trivia thing. And his little trivia thing was, what was the only month to not have snow in Colorado? Aw, that's a bummer. And the answer, of course, is August. August is the only month on record that it has not snowed somewhere in Colorado. So there's that. So technically, we're still in snow season. So it's enough to make you go, now wait a minute. Yeah, it snowed. It snowed up in Evergreen, and it snowed in Conifer. So it was snowing quite a bit. Like her Marine portrait here. Main Navy portrait. Like her military portrait. I don't know. She looks very serious. She wants to... I don't know what she wants to do. She looks very serious. Very stern. Now all of my markers are missing because this is a fuzzy, blurry picture. There we go. Right? That's what she's like, I never get ranked up. I never get any rank. I just sit here at lieutenant. That's what she's saying. Never goes up in rank. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. As far as command goes, I guess. That's where I'm headed on that one. I don't know. Just weird. I'm having a hard time actually seeing where my marks are on this. There's another thing that this does that I can use to my benefit. When I've got a marked like this, and I use this format, we have wandered way offline. That line goes to here. Bring that back around. But when I use this style to do the design on this, it helps guide in all of the stuff and it can be done consistently. Consistency is important if you want to make fine details important. Like, I can make these characters dramatically different, but it's too, it's that would be kind of unrealistic if you think about it. Belt. This is mess dress, so it's not white mess dress, but it's close. These are the closest that this group gets to the old classic Class A's. more seals for the spacesuit. I was reading an interview with Marina Sirtis, who played Deanna Troi on Star Trek Next Gen, and she kept calling it her spacesuit. And she's like, well, wearing the spacesuit is uncomfortable. However, on the flip side, I don't get to do anything when I'm not wearing my spacesuit. She doesn't get to save the day when she's not wearing her spacesuit. So I find that funny. It should go down like that. So this guy does actually kind of come down like this. Like that. That didn't work. There we go. And these guys have a holster with a service weapon that usually sits over here. I haven't actually done a lot of thought, per se, about a thought about what the weaponry is in this universe. And that's something I am going to have to ponder at some point in time. Right? I mean, because they've got service weapons. Do they have lasers? Are they, do they have some kind of gas propellant? What's the story? What is their weaponry? At the moment, I don't have anything to explain that, simply because there's no need for it. I mean, honestly, I don't have any need for it yet. It doesn't serve the story too terribly much. It will be something that I will do, but I don't need to. I'm not basing any stories around them shooting people with yellow or blue laser beams. So there's no real need. I know they have a service revolver, but truthfully we'll have to... Or service pistol of some sort. It is a pistol. There we go. Are you being serious there, Brent? Because I gotta admit, having the fact that they're using knives and swords could be kind of cool. I've always thought that Dune, even though Dune had a ridiculous premise, I always thought that Dune's concept that everybody needed to use swords was kind of cool, and the way that they at least explained it, that their shielding shields or whatever stopped everything that was going really fast. So I've got to admit, I like the idea of it, but on the same token, almost everybody I know, every friend and everybody who's in that field thinks that it's kind of silly that the knives are, and knives, that the premise is silly. Sort of feel like the premise is goofy. And so there is that. I mean, it's kind of I follow, right? I follow that that's kind of a silly premise. So if there was a logical reason of which to use swords, that'd be interesting, I gotta admit. As they say, NGL. Not gonna lie. Well, there could be some kind of conservation of energy here. What's going on? Lasers do go on for a long, long, long time, and they don't stop. Yeah, I mean, I've often thought about the concept and the idea that that you don't use projectiles on ships, and that would be what we call the Sean Connery rule. Some things don't react well to bullets. Sean Connery rule. And yeah, that makes total sense. Don't hole your ship, you know. Kind of makes some comprehensible understanding there. So there we go. I'll just go ahead and do this. And what she looks like, kind of telling people things, and there we go. Yeah. I mean, I figured they would have some sort of non-lethal. It seems like this will be Herbie. I actually have a buddy of mine is ex-submariner. And he's currently stationed aboard a surface ship, which I think is kind of interesting career maneuvering on his part. Used to fly P-3 Orions. And he's a buddy of mine from a long, long time ago. He and I talk every so often, and I use him to double check all of my, because he's a fellow Trekkie, and it's actually what got him into the Navy, and yada, yada, yada. So, but yeah, he usually finds that, obviously, though their Marines are armed on board subs, they don't tend to be, they tend to have very unique training. If there are any Marines at all on their subs, if any. But yeah, the whole, his whole thing is that but of course, during submarine training, you go through a lot of fire is a bad thing. And let me instill just how dangerous this job is and where you are is. So you can kind of see when I talk to him, anything about, anything you could see it in his eyes, this, oh no, don't shoot inside a can. Oh no. It's kind of funny. So I think that if you think to that degree, and I think you're absolutely right, Fred. If you think to that degree, these guys are going to have that same, oh no, don't shoot in a can sort of attitude going for them. Because you don't want, life in a submarine is completely different than a surface ship. So Brent knows. Brent gets it. But yeah, I feel like that would be definitely. Let's take a look at this here and see where we are. What does it look like so far? We're getting there. And this isn't bad at all. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing this morning? We're working with maquettes this morning. Nuki. Well, and I think, Fred, you may have met Dan, my buddy, because he's an anime fan and he's a Trekkie and all of those things, and he hangs with us from time to time. Right now, he's out in Florida. Good morning then anyway. I hope you're having a wonderful morning on this somewhat strangely cold day. So, another friend of mine, these uniforms, by the way, I designed 20 years ago. Maybe even longer. No, you need the plutonium to go back in time. You've got to go back to the future. That's what plutonium's for. I mean, everybody knows that. Well, at least until we can finally figure out how to use our Mr. Fusion. Right? All right. Yeah, I know. Right? 2020 needs to, jump off a cliff. I guess it's kind of appropriate that it snowed in June here, and then just adds to the 2020 roulette, or 2020 bingo game that we're all playing. One more thing. 2020 bingo. All right. So, here we go. Kind of feeling like I had to reshape the eyes a little bit. I'm not as happy with the maquette when it comes around this corner here. Kind of looks like concerned to me. What's going on right now? She's concerned, right? There we go. And on this side, we just do the underside of her nose right here. That's all. If you do too much of it, it looks like she's got a mustache. You can't unsee that. And the secret to manga style, as a style, is understating the mouth and overstating the eyes. I mean, we hear a lot about big eyes, small mouth. And there's certainly something to be said about small mouth, but that's actually an attractiveness trait. So, the Japanese find small mouths to be attractive culturally. And so that doesn't really have a lot to do with American style versions, because we don't necessarily find small mouths to be attractive. It's not part of our culture. So, though that is sort of a thing. We don't necessarily do that on our side. And because of the nature of, you guys are talking, I went to Yellowstone a couple of years ago. It's a lovely place. I took my kid there. He was 2. And took lots of pictures. On the way there, Paul, while you're going there, there's a place that's like Carhenge, except it's not the Carhenge that's out in Nebraska. There's a different Carhenge. That's kind of cool. We found it randomly. Because there's a Carhenge in Nebraska, which is cool. Fred and I almost went to that during the eclipse, but that didn't end up well because there was a zillion, quadrillion, quintillion people there at Carhenge. It kind of made sense. But we almost went there, Fred and I. We almost did it. Like a jillion people there. But there's another Carhenge, which is in, I don't think it's northern Wyoming. I think it's southern South Dakota. I want to say that it's in that area. But if you take the normal route to Yellowstone by going north, well, no, because that's not the normal route. We went out there because we went to the Black Hills. So you may not run into it. Anyway, there was this great place. It was like a Carhenge. I took lots of pictures. And anybody who's not familiar with Carhenge, look that up. All right. Now let's take a look. Ah, we've missed the top of her head. She has no top of her head. What kind of person am I? Okay. Yeah, it must be southern South Dakota. That's the only thing I can think of. So I was saying that I had designed these uniforms around the turn of the century for a card game that I'm making, that I'm still working on. I ultimately, earlier this year, merged Bellatrix Rising and the card game together so that they all are one universe. And that's actually been very useful because it's allowed me to borrow from both of these concepts to both sides. The card game now has a plot. You never think about this, but like Magic the Gathering has a plot, right? The card game Magic has a plot. And, it's the plot's not super deep, but it's two magicians or two mages fighting each other. And the mages are throwing animals and creatures and shooting spells at one another. And that's the structure, the conceit. And my card game didn't have a structure or conceit. And then I merged Bellatrix Rising's universe with it, and now it does. And then because of that, I got to borrow the uniforms from the card game. Oh, there you go. Wyoming has some phenomenally beautiful mountains, though. I mean, of all the things, the mountains are just so pretty. Like, you go up to I-80 and just head across, and it's just some phenomenally beautiful landscape out there. Really, really pretty. Very lovely landscape. Right? Okay. So in this case, we're going to put her in her service uniform on this one. Both uniforms have the seals, the butterfly seals, especially the service uniform, but I mean, we were talking about spacers. So spacers all have these butterfly seals on their uniforms. Wyoming has exclusive rights on a lot of rocks, I've noticed. It's like, they just have rocks. But they have to have rocks. It's cool. Rocks, rocks, rocks everywhere. The best part about using the maquettes is that the 3 dots in our forehead are never misplaced. Alright, moving around here. I'm entertained that we're all talking about various parts of Wyoming. Not surprised, but entertained. So I was talking about these uniforms. A buddy of mine, who's a former Marine, helped me design some of these uniforms as well. And like, he's the reason why there's spats on the boots and stuff like that. And I thought, I still love these designs. So I went ahead and just continued on, and it works. I don't have to worry about the design. Oh, I gotta see that new Bill and Ted trailer. That's gonna be entertaining. That's gotta be fun. Alright. Over here is this service patch, and this is the actual patch that puts her on the kittiwake. Right there. And then the service uniform goes like this. I have to figure out what color she's wearing. We do this. Oh, look at that. Messed that up right there. hand right here. Mess up her right really badly. That's okay. She's very prim and proper as far as a character is concerned, so I would figure that certainly everything on her uniform would be shipshape and bristle fashion, without any errors or screw-ups or anything like that. She's that character. There we go. There we go, like that. Bill and Ted just sounds like it's gonna be so much fun. I'm curious as to where they're gonna head with it. You know what I mean? So do this. Coming around here. I'm going to work on this for about 2 more minutes, and I'm going to move over to Fred's project since he's here. And try to finish this one drawing now. Well, you know, there are a number of re-releases or return to a previous story or whatever you want to call them that I've seen in my life that just weren't as good as the original. For example, I'm not very fond of Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Really just not. And that was a return to a very beloved franchise. So and I'm not hot on that one. That one's not one of my favorites. So kind of feel like even if it does kind of go south, I'm not that worried. No. Following my guides and not following my guides here is what I'm doing. And so, it could be fun though. I like Bill and Ted. Here we go. These are the locks. Gravity lock boots. So that they lock the character down. She won't float away. Nope, I think I did the wrong line. I'm doing the spats line. Let's not do that. There we go. bring this back around. Be a minute or so late after the switch over. But that gives her in her service uniform and in her mess dress. Yeah, the Nazis were pretty pathetic in the first movie. I mean, I always think of this because, like, the Blitzkrieg was not exactly what I would construe as weak battle tactics. I feel kind of dirty giving any kind of props to the Nazis, but they were effective, Okay. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say it's a horrible movie. I'm not necessarily saying that. The point that I was trying to kind of get to here was that I just don't generally watch that one. I also don't watch the Temple of Doom that often because I'm really entomophobic. And so it's like they spent some quality time in Temple of Doom going, what would Guy freak out about? Oh yeah, let's add a whole bunch of bugs. So that, that one's... It's a smaller picture. Hi, David. But I guess you're right. That does kind of look disturbing, doesn't it? As a... There you go, David. That's a very valid and correct point. I will save that. All right. So looking at these characters now, I'm kind of getting a good feel of what she's going to look like. I like this a whole lot better. And as you can see, at 11 o'clock, we spent 1 hour on this and populated a good portion of these. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pictures in 1 hour. So that makes paneling easy. And she looks really nice and it looks good and everything like that. I feel like I'm cheating, but that's all right. We'll get there. Okay, Fred. Since you're here, I did this one. And so my thought process here was that, in fact, it's kind of interesting because the paragraph above this is talking about identifying which crystals do what and how to identify crystals. And so kind of thought it'd be funny if they were actually like engraving letters and numbers on the crystals. Because, I mean, at some point in time, either they'll be drained or they won't be drained or something, but you wouldn't be able to just wave your hand over it and know which one does what. So I thought it'd be pretty funny if you had this guy whose whole thing is to engrave letters into crystals. So there's your crystal arm thingy. I'm going to move to the next picture here. We'll see where you are on this one. move down to the next picture and work on that one. Fred will be right back after these messages. Work on this guy. So this guy got really tall suddenly and went right into the wrong place. But Lou thinks they're cool. Hi, Lou. Good to see you. Miss you guys. Always miss everybody here. I'm going to make this go down a little. Since I was kind enough to draw them all in the artwork here, yeah. It's, it's the call. It's what we're looking for. Okay, I'm going to get rid of as much of this as I can. There we go. Now it kind of looks like ability shitters. Oops. That's right. We'll get there. Alrighty. Alrighty. And this is the ability shifter. I'll just go ahead and do this. So, did Fred just say, "Hey Lou, I gotta go real quick. Here, you watch the show." That's sort of the way I envision this happening. Fred is who Fred is, and that doesn't change. Okay. I feel like these would be somewhat janky, so I kind of put them in these little slightly janky positions. It could happen. Anything could happen, right? It's a role-playing game. That's how this works. I'll put this here. And what I'm doing is just laying this out a little here. So I'm just putting in the structure of sort of the crystals here. Yep, that's what I thought. I'm going to have to go through here and trim this out. Truth is, we're going to have to trim all of this a little, because the artwork will look too unnatural if I leave it with just this sort of heavy lined thing. Yay! There we go. Like this. Like this. Excellent. Yep. There we go. I'm going to make this stick out a little. I'm going to try something else when we get down to the bottom of this guy too. See whether you guys are into this plan. Like the janky aimed down more. There we go. Okay, now we go in here. We just kind of round everything out, right? Add some strength to this part here. And then this makes it look less dramatically computerized. Because you don't want this to be that way. Choose a line. Choose a line, guy. Everything here is somewhat janky, I assume. Layer check. We're good. Oh, well, thank you. I like my background music. It's very good. It's not up to its full, dot, though. There we go. Now it's up to its dot. There we go. At some point with the music, I'm going to have a dedicated thing. I had a little MP3 player, but apparently it's dead. And I didn't know it was dead until I tried to dedicate it to this job. And then it wouldn't play. It'll play, but it makes no music, so... So it produces no music. Makes me very aggravated. I'm going to go ahead and put in white so we can at least see what we're doing when we get onto this thing, because I can see already some just roughness not making me happy, right? Right through here. Like it's cobbled together. Woo! Hey, I'm gonna be in there. Make it kind of weird, and strange, and janky, and like, what the heck were you doing with this thing anyway? You know? How did you make it? Although I do feel like should be at least a block of wood. So, it shouldn't be bowed, I don't think. Underneath here, I do this. And we'll get here. I haven't gotten to this yet. Right. That said, I'm feeling like we're getting kind of into the, I don't know, this guy looks a little like a pencil. I'm going to have to do something about him. He looks like a pencil. I don't want to leave a pencil. There we go. Move that out. just straighten these crystals out so that they're all pretty straight crystals. There we go. Alright, let's go in here and clean this up a little, right through here, just clean that up, and around the side here, a little up over the top. There we go. Yeah. I'll rough this up a little. So it looks like somebody's hitting with tape or something, but it's not smooth and cleanly shaped. There we go. It'll give it some roughness, make it look kind of neat and rough. Alright, here's what we're going to do. Here's the trick I'm after. I'm going to take this and go like this. Make sure I'm all sealed. And go like this. On the wrong layer. Go here. And delete. Turn this on. Select. Then I can take this bottom one, and then I can decide, what am I doing with this thing? Alright, as we've got here to here to here to here. And that's what I think I'm going to do. Then, take this guy right here. Like that. There we go. Now we can go in and clean up this. Here. Ooh. There we go. So, these guys are janky and weird. Now we'll go on ahead and, put in this. And this helps it look like it's some kind of reflective, especially in a dark room. the same thing back here. Go in here and just do this. And let's go right here. There we go. Kung Fu fighting. I don't know why that just hit me all of a sudden. All right. There we go. Some janky thrown together crystal thing. All crystals. I feel like there should be something on the top up here. You know, something that, like, I'm strapping stuff in. Or, you know, maybe even actually legit straps. Actually, that's what I think I'll do. I'll do legit straps right here. To hold in. Hold in these crystals, some kind of leather strap. Give us a little bit more over here, because I kind of feel like I'm not quite where I want to be with the jankiness on this. I mean, in a post-apocalyptic world, you should sort of be somewhat janky. Alright, so we're strapping in these things so that they won't go anywhere. Do this side too. Strap these things in. Strap them in. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. There. Now they look really, really jank. Cool. Let's go on ahead and put in some shadow on these straps. That'll help us really define them. Going that way, because the light's coming from the side. Here. I'm sure they've got some weight. Alright. That's that critter. The next one's a janky knife. I like it. It's cute. Alright. Get ourselves a knife. Somebody's using a knife to stab somebody with a crystal. Seems like an expensive knife blade. I'm just saying. Dramatic knife. Super crystal. Yeah, there's a lot of stabby on this one, isn't there? This one's particularly stabby. Okay. Round that out. Here we go. There. This will be crystalline over here. Wow. putting in, let's hit reflection, right? And this is all we're after here. And give it a little bit of a feel as to what's happening. I don't know if I'd want to be stabbed by this thing. This thing looks pretty nasty already. Okay. Now, I was kind enough to make myself have a vanishing point, so these guys are going to have to match my vanishing point. Right? So let's match my vanishing point. Okay, good. Yeah. And then we went way afield over here. Again with a janky. I guess you could use these things as melee weapons. Just seems impractical, but I still think some of the most interesting weapons, though, come from impractical weapons, so would never have imagined. Yeah. It's an e-tool. That's right. Bonk. It is an impractical weapon. One must, I have to agree. An e-tool is definitely an impractical weapon, but entertaining. Certainly one you could use. And doubles as being able to dig your grave. So there's always that, you know. It does. E-tools are cool. There we go. I feel like it should be going that way. Okay, here we go. Okay, so on the edge here, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. All right. Go down here onto the background, and I'm just going to erase that whole thing. And then underneath here, going to give us this guy like this. This gives a little bit more artistic capability. Yeah. Where'd that one go? Right here? I did. Yeah. One of the things, if there was ever a thing that, if you're listening, Adobe, although I don't think you care, but if you're listening, it really would be nice if you made it so that and this one just doesn't. I don't need to go through this much effort. Just do these. Right. That gives us 3. Still sounds nasty. This guy looked kind of like a sea mine to me, which I like. That's cool. But I'm gonna. There we go. I can do that. I can do that. I can do that. There we go. Move this around like this. So this guy is a battery, I think. Silent battery. There we go. work. I don't know what my problem is. I keep moving over here and then working in this side. That's very uncomfortable for my arm. I don't know why I don't keep moving this way. Sometimes I wonder about myself. You know, you're just like, am I becoming senile? Am I on air? I might have forgotten that I'm on air. Yeah, it's all good now. I'll just go to sleep because the thing. Oh my goodness. Alright. Give some weight to this guy right here. Let's see, he's there. And then what I'm doing here is just giving some contour to the ball here. Scruffiness here. Some shading to this. So, a couple of these pieces, I have them breaking out of their squares, but like this piece up here, I have specifically firmly inside a frame. So I want to do this one inside a frame too. Just so that there's some consistency between all of these. About 20 minutes left. There we go. Like I said back before, one line means everything. Okay. Gonna stretch for a second, because it's still morning and I'm still not quite all together. How's everybody feeling out there in the real world? Everybody doing good today? Oh, man. Yeah, I should turn up the gain a little bit of my mic so that you can see me. I'm trying to get to the point where when I talk, I get at least one of those green lights on my board. So that should turn that up a little bit more. That way you don't have to turn up your volume so much to hear me. But the microphone... Oh, you're working on painting minis today. That's awesome. I was painting minis yesterday. And David's just dead tired. Sorry, David. Wish there was something I could do for you, man. Well, I mean, I can sympathize with you. Does help a little. Okay. So we'll go back in here. I love painting minis. It's like the only thing that keeps me, like, level. Folding space is what Michael's doing. Well, we knew that. Folding space and time and all the other things in between. Alrighty. But folding laundry is good. You can do that too. There we go. Painting minis later today. Yeah. found a place on. I found a guy out in Canada who will do water slide decals for my Rosinante. So I'll be able to decal in my Rossi soon, and that'll be great. I'm excited about that. I don't know what I'm going to do about that War Destroyer. I think she needs decals too. But the guy sent me like a template so I could make my own decals, which is way awesome. So I'll be doing that at some point here. Then I can put the decals on my Rossi, and I can put the decals in on the on that War Destroyer. I just have to think of a good name for that War Destroyer. Probably, since I'm such a stickler for it with Starfleet Battles, they actually make they've got a name book, a book with all the right names in the registries. So I'll just find whatever War Destroyer name was there before and find the one that I like the best, and then just title it in and give it its correct registry numbers and everything like that. That makes me feel better. But I am going to do all kinds of things. Like I want to put RC thrusters on it and stuff. I always feel like the RC thrusters would be like a big thing that you'd see. And right. I am not doing that. No. So much no, David. No. I am not painting in Klingon trifoils and logos and everything like that. It looks so much better when I can get these little teeny water slide decals. It just looks so much better. Besides, I can put the MCRN logos and stuff like that on there. Okay, so let's talk about an exploding shard. Thinking about this, what might be happening is you'd have one kind of like this, sort of flying out of the way. You have bits of another one. That. Shards are straight. Shards are straight. Like this. Sort of coming right at you, isn't it? There we go. Pointing in at you. Make it extremely pointy. I don't know, guys. Think you're getting the point? Dad jokes. Glowy shards. Might be difficult in black and white. I have the ability to make them glow easily. Doesn't mean I can't. Just means that it's difficult. Fred's like, hey, you ever considered doing everything difficult? Here, let's do this with my thing. all the difficult stuff. Truth is, I actually really like challenges, so even though I'm making snarky comments, I actually rather enjoy the fact that he's giving me all these weird little there we go. What I think I can do, and I may do, is this. I'm gonna do this here. And we're gonna go down to the white layer, background. We're gonna wipe that out. Okay. Now we can see everything we're dealing with on this layer. This in here. This poor guy is like just stuck. He didn't know things were blowing up around him, Keep doing all these shards. There we go. This and this and that. Because it's not just that one that's coming out. I mean, just because they exit the area doesn't necessarily mean okay. I can work on that. This guy here. Here's what we're going to do. This. Okay, so. Now that we've done this, we can go back in here and work on things. For one, I can make these guys glow once it's black. But first, we'll clean this up. Interesting. Every time Fred types, I hear him speaking in Fred's voice. I find that intriguing. Fred and I go back quite a few years, so that makes some sense, but it's still fascinating that I totally hear Fred talking. Like he's standing behind me. Fred, stop standing behind me. Freak me out, man. Anyway. Okay. now that we've got sort of a land of the lost here, first things first, we'll have the explosion which caused this. Alright, we need that one first. You standing right behind me and creeping me out? I don't know, Fred. Okay. Kind of do. Like this. There we go. So I'm kind of putting in weird little clouds of strange around some of these shards. Right? Kind of like these shards are bleeding something on the side. I was always an Eldar guy myself. However, all I ever played was Battlefleet Gothic. I know you guys are all shocked and amazed. However, I did enjoy it. It was a lot of fun. The rules were bizarre, but they were cool. There we go. Adding weird psionic energy to this as they go flying out. We actually ended up with a Tau army that was super overpowered by accident. We think we did the rules wrong. Tau fleet, I guess I should say. There we go. Okay, we are almost at the end of our show here. That's good, because I am really getting hungry. It's about time for lunch on this side of the universe. With we've got pretty much where we're headed on this one, though. It's kind of dramatic, this picture has become. Like how dramatic it is. This is like super dramatic. I don't need lunch. Okay. Oh, I think, I believe that Fred is actually interacting directly with the artwork that's going on over here, since this is, in fact, Fred's artwork that we're working on. But, I mean, you guys are having an awesome discussion about 40K, which is also way cool. Okay, moving back around. Oh my goodness gracious alive! I've been over my computer for a long time. All right, guys. So we are at the end of the show for today. Thanks for joining me. Alexa was saying something, or at least thinking something. So we're at the end of the show. And all is good. I will see you all tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel. I think tomorrow we're going to be doing... I think this one's done. I'm going to do a couple more little touches on this one. And I'm going to finish up the one that we were working on with Mayrel tomorrow, this afternoon or this evening, so that they're both out of the door, because there's only about 10 minutes left to Mayrel. The only thing is that Mayrel, and this might be an interesting thing, the last standing picture of Mayrel is her in civilian clothes. So I've got to kind of figure out what is the fashion of Bellatrix Rising. We're going to have to think about that, because there's got to be some kind of yes, my hair all short, just like it's supposed to be. Boy, I was getting shaggy. I was getting to the point where it was brutal. Oof, it was rough. I think I do have a few stragglers back here that need to be trimmed. My wife noticed them, and she's like, I'll get those for you. And then she forgot. So we'll get there. But yeah, so I'll finish up Mayrel, and I'll finish up this last little bit of shards over here that are exploding, and we'll call all of these pieces done, and I'll call this page done, and I'll roll that page out. So there we go. Until tomorrow, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and have an awesome time. And I'm noticing that the sun's coming out, so looks like the weather's going to break. So we'll see you all later. Bye-bye.